When it comes to saving big on tires, do the math at Big O Tires. Start by saving $100 instantly on sets of 4 Big O brand tires with paid installation purchase. Then receive an additional $50 by mail-in rebate on qualifying purchases using your Big O Tires credit card. Add it all up, and you can save as much as $150. The tires you need, the savings you want. Only at Big O Tires, the team you trust. Hurry, sale ends October 13th. For the location nearest you, go to bigotires.com.
We got beaten about every phase that you could get beat in this evening, so that's my responsibility to take care of business. With that, 11 penalties against a good football team are going to hurt you. Turnovers are going to hurt you. You got to get I got to get the bigs playing better on both sides on the offensive defensive line. It starts there. When you win, it starts there. When you lose, it starts there too. So. It's early in the season. We got to go back and learn from this, and get ourselves a little bit healthy with some of these injuries and get rolling.
Welcome to Sports Beat KC, the daily sports podcast of the Kansas City Star, presented by Big O Tires. It's Monday, October 7th. The Chiefs did something they haven't done all season on Sunday. They lost to the Indianapolis Colts 19-13 at Arrowhead Stadium. Stunning, right? Those who cover the Chiefs for the Star, including Herbie Teope, Sam McDowell, and columnist Sam Mellinger, join me, Blair Kerkhoff, in attempting to determine what happened. We chatted among ourselves and responded to questions and comments on Facebook Live earlier this morning. Thanks to Sports Beat KC producers Kathy Liu and Leah Becerra and Facebook Live producer Beth Welsh for putting all of this together. And we'll be back on Tuesday with another edition of Sports Beat KC to talk sports in Kansas City. Welcome to Red Zone Extra on Facebook Live. I am Blair Kerkhoff here with Herbie Teope, Sam McDowell. We'll have some others drop by before the evening is over.
Maybe.
They're still working on their stories, Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian. Stories about the Chiefs' 19-13 loss to the Indianapolis Colts here at Arrowhead Stadium, Sunday Night Football. Guys, we saw something tonight that I didn't expect to see. This was the Chiefs came into this game as a 10-point favorite, maybe 10.5, and led briefly, right, 10-7. But the second half dominated by the Indianapolis Colts. Listen, I know you and the Chiefs fans out there not happy about this, so let's talk about it. Send us your comments, your questions, and we'll get to as many questions as we can throughout the show. Herbie, let's start with you and your initial impression of this game. I'll start actually by saying the 13 points, the fewest scored by a Patrick Mahomes started Chiefs game by far. 26 had been the fewest, 13 tonight, but I think your interest lies on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, my interest lies on defense. My goodness, the Chiefs could not stop the run, and I think this set a blueprint for other teams to try and stop Patrick Mahomes and company. Because if you play take away or keep away from Patrick Mahomes, he can't hurt you. One of the things, if you notice here, there's a trend that's going on right now, and then when we say the Chiefs can't stop the run, the stats don't lie. It's just 4 straight games the team has rushed for 100-plus yards. They've given up a 100-yard rusher 3 straight games. Mark Ingram, last week Kerryon Johnson, tonight Marlon Mack. But the Chiefs have to be concerned that other teams are watching this. And I talked to a couple of the players after the game, Emmanuel Ogbah, Damian Wilson, Tano Hasano, yep. And also they're all saying, look, what happened tonight is what is on tape, okay? Teams will see this. It's on tape now. This is how you do it because other teams have tried it, but the Colts succeeded in keeping Patrick Mahomes and that potent offense in check because the Colts held the ball 33 minutes tonight. 33 minutes! And the Chiefs had it for like 22:45.
Check your stats, my friend. I believe it was 37. 37 minutes.
37 minutes.
It has to add up to 60, Harvey.
I knew that. Hey, math, okay? That's why I'm a journalist. But the bottom line is they held the ball with ball control offense, and they just basically out-physicaled the Chiefs.
Listen, that was, 37 minutes of possession time for the Colts, but the percentage was even greater in the second half. I don't how many possessions did the Chiefs have in the second half? 3, maybe? I don't know. It was a dominating. I thought the Colts offensive line really took charge of the game in the second half. I know Marlon Mack was asked after the game about what if he thought that at what point did the Colts impose their will on the Chiefs, and he said it was that 8-minute drive that ended in the field goal that made it 16-10.
Yeah.
He said they just took the spirit.
9 straight running plays on that drive.
9 straight running plays.
All of us
stop it. Yeah.
Us as journalists hate the cliches, but this game was just the cliche of the Chiefs just lost the battle up front. They didn't stop the run. They didn't. On the offense, let's get the actual numbers here if we're going to be accurate. 36 rushing yards, 2.6 yards a carry, and they didn't protect Patrick Mahomes tonight. He got sacked 4 times, and if there's any other quarterback standing back there tonight, he'd probably get sacked 7 or 8 times.
Right.
If not for his elusiveness on. It's hard to say that a quarterback's elusive when he gets sacked 4 times, but he was. He scrambled and tried to make plays tonight.
Even on a bad ankle.
Right.
He did. The Chiefs' only touchdown was a result that Herbie and I just looked it up on Next Gen Stats. Mahomes scrambled 40 yards on his touchdown pass to Byron Pringle.
20 yards backwards at one point.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was an amazing play, but that was the only amazing play that the Chiefs had. It was the only touchdown for the Chiefs tonight, and we are absolutely not used to seeing that kind of offensive performance from the Chiefs. Herbie's right. They didn't. Not only did the Chiefs not stop the run, but they didn't run the ball as well. And on a night when Mahomes again threw for 300+ yards
Quietly.
it was so quiet,
Yeah.
really. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, and there were some issues in the passing game as well. He told us after the game that man coverage has now kind of befuddled this Chiefs offense, not just this week, but last week against Detroit, and certainly in the first half of the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, we're sensing a theme for what teams are trying to defend them, and it's man coverage. It's as simple as that, and it's because of the personnel that the Chiefs have, or rather the personnel they don't have right now. Tyreek Hill's absence tonight last week I thought it was glaring. This week, way even more so. And not having Sammy Watkins on the field, and I mean, you talk about adding insult to injury. They were missing guy after every 5 minutes in the press box tonight.
Yeah.
We were getting an announcement on a guy being out of the game all of a sudden.
I've got the list. Sammy Watkins was the first name that came up. He started the game.
Didn't finish the first series.
No, so he was out of the game before the Chiefs had a second first down, and that just set the tone for that, and left the Chiefs with how many? With 4 wide receivers.
4 wide
in the
receivers,
game, right?
4.
And then it was Anthony Hitchens with a groin. With Watkins, it was just an aggravation of his hamstring injury that caused him to miss some practice last week. Anthony Hitchens with a groin, Xavier Williams with an ankle, Chris Jones with a groin. I didn't see the Chris Jones injury. Did you guys see?
I
that?
saw him
either.
limping off. I did not see maybe somebody out there saw. I didn't see the replay of what prompted that, but I did see him limping off, but immediately to the locker room.
And even though this was never announced, Andrew Wiley didn't finish the game either.
Yeah.
So he was he had an ankle injury as well. And we're not including the play where Mahomes was stepped on by, was it Irving?
And he called it stepped on. It was like it's almost like a middle infielder just getting spiked in the ankle on that play. But I did think it was interesting in the post game that he said the ankle was already hurting before that happened.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, that is the same ankle that he injured against Jacksonville, because the phrasing he used was he re-aggravated it.
Yep. So 5 guys didn't finish the game who started the game, were a big part of this game.
I mean, they got beat up tonight.
Yep.
I mean, they got, I think he used the phrase, even though it's not really a phrase, out-physicaled. But they got beat up
Football
tonight.
phrase.
They got beat up on the line tonight.
It may not be a phrase, but when you say it, people know what you're talking about.
Football.
So, please send us your questions and comments, like Jason Collinsworth, who says slow starts in the last 4 games worrisome. I agree. I mean, this is, Herbie, I know you've only been here for a couple of them, but in the previous, when the Chiefs' first possession, they lost the coin toss, so they got the ball first and drove down for a field goal. And that was the first points they'd scored in the first quarter in the last month, right?
You said that, and we had to look
week
it
1.
up just because it sounded unbelievable when you said it.
That's remarkable that this offense, especially after the way the season started at Jacksonville, where in the third play Watkins is in the end zone. on that like 70-yard reception.
And who's better at scripting plays than Andy Reid?
That's supposed to be his thing, right?
But the whole thing, when it comes down to execution, though, you can script all you want, but if the players aren't executing, then you just have nothing. To Blair's point earlier, where he said it seemed like they abandoned the run, and during this post-game press conference, Andy Reid said the reason why they did that was because he wanted to take advantage of the Colts' depleted secondary. They were down 2 starting safeties. Also, their stud linebacker, Darius Leonard, was out. But you got to execute there, but losing Sammy Watkins hurts.
Yeah.
And Sam hits the nail on the head here. What's really missing from this offense is that Tyreek Hill factor. Because now when you lose a guy like Watkins and Hill's already inactive, you're down to 4 wide receivers. Who do you trust? I think that's a lot of that comes down to the trust factor.
Well, and that speaks to what Mahomes was talking about when teams play man defense. I think they feel confident playing Demarcus Robinson manned up and Byron Pringle
A rookie,
manned up.
and
McCole Hardman, a rookie in man coverage. And Mahomes says Chiefs have to find a way to beat it. He's right, because now they're going to. I think they're going to see it week after week. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
do that?
I mean, Mahomes took some ownership of a couple of passes that he said he missed, but when the quarterback throws, I mean, what was it, almost 40 times tonight? Not all 40 passes are going to be on target. Quite simply, the receivers have to do a better job of beating their man. Especially, like you mentioned, Herbie, this was not their top secondary guys tonight. They were
missing
missing
their starting safeties.
Yeah. I think they got another guy hurt during the game, too, right? I can't remember whether it was one of the safeties filling in or a cornerback, but something in the secondary for the Colts went down, too. So this was not their top group.
And I noticed Mahomes also said after the game the Colts did a lot of their damage rushing 4.
All rush. When you watch that game, I thought that was one of the things that stood out to me most. Is there weren't a lot of stunts and blitzes tonight. The Colts just, with 4-on-5, consistently beat the Chiefs up front.
But they had one motivated one up front, didn't they?
They sure did.
Yeah, Justin Houston was. Herbie actually covered Justin Houston. I mean, that's how long his tenure span is in Kansas City.
I remember he was drafted. Okay,
You had 22 sacks, Justin Houston, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I thought we saw a little bit of that tonight because when he left Kansas City, and first of all, we should say, I mean, the move to release Justin Houston still makes a lot of sense. It saved him $14 million against the cap, but you saw tonight that a guy that was certainly excited to play here. His family was in the stands.
Yes.
He said his son was torn up whenever the Chiefs released him, so he was happy to see him with a smile on his face after the game. But even he acknowledged, he said, I can't lie. I was extra motivated. He actually compared it to when you break up when your girlfriend breaks up with you.
Oh, boy.
You see, when you're out with your new girlfriend, you want to show off.
That's a good point. What did he do after he made that stop late in the fourth quarter?
He says that he doesn't remember what he said, but he knows he said a lot.
Yeah,
Because he looked at the Chiefs sideline to
looked
say it,
directly
right?
at the Chiefs sideline. He was defiant.
Yeah.
He was defiant. Like, yeah, that was me that made that play.
I don't see how he could not have been just so emotionally wrapped up in this game.
Yeah.
I don't think the sense was that he left Kansas City. He didn't leave Kansas City on bad terms. It was a business decision.
Strictly business.
And he basically acknowledged that he understood that as well.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Sam. You got your coffee?
I do.
Okay, good.
But yeah, he acknowledged as well that he understood the business side of it, but that doesn't stop him from feeling it tonight. And his teammates said all week, he was the guy running the film room, saying this is what they're going to do.
No surprise.
He was the guy giving the speeches during practice, all practice, and we saw the video that the Colts posted on their social media account that he gave the pregame speech tonight.
Yeah, he was the guy in the hype huddle before the game.
But the Colts said that his leadership has been something that they really desperately needed in that locker room. And that was one other thing that Mahomes said that was pretty interesting in his postgame was Justin Houston kind of gave him those reins last year in this locker room in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was interesting. But of course, Mahomes is the most gracious person on the face of the earth anyway. So he's going to say something nice about everybody.
Should we acknowledge the fan that just joined the set?
What's up, guys?
We did. No, we made sure he had coffee.
Yeah.
We did notice something. The Chiefs certainly were aware Justin in Houston early in the game, because you and I, we sit next to each other in the press box, and we made that comment. They're paying a lot of attention to him over there. Double teams, chipping him. So they were well aware of him.
You know, when they didn't pay a lot of attention to him was on a 4th and 1.
That's true. Unblocked.
Somebody asked him about, which I guess maybe they didn't see the replay quite correctly because he was clearly unblocked, but somebody asked him about beating Cam Irving on that play, and he said, well, actually, they just left me free.
Yeah.
And I guess they just didn't think I could make the play, and I did.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that play. I don't know if the Chiefs win the game or not if they pick up that 4th and 1, but it's 4th and 1 from the Chiefs 34. There's about 5 minutes left in the game.
Just over 5, yeah.
It's a 6-point game. Chiefs have to get a touchdown. We saw Mahomes a week ago in Detroit lead the Chiefs down the field for a come from behind victory. I kind of had a feeling on the previous play. Was it to Pringle that picked up like 15 or 16 on a 3rd and long?
It was like 27, right?
Yeah.
Was it that long? And anyway,
third
it
and
was
3rd and 28, and he picked up
4th and 1,
27.
yep.
right. So I'm thinking, okay, they pick up, they'll find a way to get the first down here, and man, we're in for a buckle up because we're in for another fantastic
rewrite.
finish. Yep. Yes. Or as Herbie calls it, blowing my lead on the screen, to blow up my lead on the screen. But then the play. A deep handoff to Damian Williams on 4th and 1, and you've got the NFL MVP there. Listen, it's a depleted receiving core. I just thought they could have come up with something a little more creative there. They had gone for a 4th and 1 earlier in the game, and Sherman picked it up barely, right? I don't know. You guys good with the play call?
No, I would have put the ball. I mean, just for the reason you said. I mean, put the ball in the MVP's hand. We saw what he did last week when he was in sort of just make a play mode. He did. I think it's hard not to have Patrick Mahomes involved in that play.
Well, not just that. Yes, I co-sign all that stuff. But the 2nd and 30, why are you just running? I felt like they wasted
Damian Williams
2nd
off
and
to
30.
It wasn't just to me that play was bizarre as much for the fact that it's going to prevent you from getting the first down as the fact that 40 seconds ran up the clock there. They were late getting out of that huddle, and they lost 40 seconds on that play.
Yeah, and then on the 3rd and 28, the pass to Pringle, and there's a screenshot going around. Like, screenshots in football are always misleading, but that should have been a first down.
I agree with that, and I actually made that argument post-game, and somebody here actually made a good point.
Wait a second, should have been marked a first down?
No. Should have.
He had Kelsey block, and he could have gone on the outside,
I see.
I think. I will say on 3rd and 28, how aware are you of where the sticks are as much as you would be on a 3rd and 8?
No, you wouldn't, but follow the blocker. It just.
Yeah.
You're not going to stretch out for the first down, but it just to not convert that is a problem. I mean, look, like, and I'm talking about the 2nd and 30 and then the 4th and 1, and I'm very much on team like they should run once for every 9 throws or whatever, and that's probably too extreme. But you just said it. Like, I mean, even I don't care that Watkins is hurt, Hill's hurt. You got the MVP.
Yes.
You have the most electric. I think about it like this a lot. Like, if you're playing defense against the Chiefs, like, what are you hoping they do?
Yeah.
Hand the ball off. Yes,
That's
exactly.
exactly what they did.
Especially when the running game wasn't working tonight. That's why that play there really surprised me. 4th and 1, Damian Williams, he had 9 rushes for like 28 yards.
23,
or
I
something
think. 23, maybe?
So, I mean, you're averaging, 2 points, whatever. Here I go with math
2.6.
again. See, thank you for my math colleagues here helping
We
me
were
out.
already 0 for 1 on that.
But you're not even, if you can't get the ball going in the run game, I agree, put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand. You look for the guy that he has an instant chemistry with. Look for Kelsey. Put the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Let him make that decision.
Not to take over sort of Blair's hosting job, but I wonder what you guys thought about the fact that LaShawn McCoy and Darrell Williams didn't have a carry tonight. Now, McCoy fumbled the screen pass, but we didn't see them at all in the second half.
Well, they didn't have many offensive snaps in the
That's
second
right.
half.
Yeah,
for
That's
one
right.
thing.
There was a point, I think, into the 4th quarter where the Chiefs had the ball for like 3 minutes after halftime.
Yep.
Before
Looked
the
like,
final possession,
Again, like as extreme as I am on throw the ball as much as possible, don't run the ball. That's a little much. But more than that, I feel like they can use their screen game in place of a traditional run game. And
Yes,
they didn't do that
for
much
sure.
at all tonight.
Well, the McCoy
they had
play,
the one,
the McCoy play
the
was
fumble.
that play.
Yep.
But then he,
But they really didn't do it much other than that. I mean,
No, I
maybe
can't-
one or two others, but
I thought early when they tried a couple of kind of jet sweep type plays, they didn't work.
Yeah.
In fact, McCall Hardman lost about
Lost
6
6,
yards
yeah.
on one. I think Reed and the enemy just said, "We're taking this out of the out of the playbook tonight."
It's just that has been such we've seen that even before Patrick. When Alex Smith was here, we saw screens, just sort of, against a rush that's getting to you. I think about the Jacksonville game, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but they were getting near the goal line, and Jacksonville was just beating the hell out of Mahomes, and he had the ankle at that point, and then they ran the fullback screen, the old trusty fullback screen to Sherman. I don't think he scored on that play, but he got a first down. They got close to the goal line. I think he ended up getting a touchdown on that drive. That didn't happen tonight. I don't know why.
I think so much of what happened offensively for the Chiefs was because wide receivers couldn't get separation from man coverage.
Sure.
And Robert, I think Nako, if I'm pronouncing your last name right, Robert, wants to know why receivers weren't extending their routes. After.
Yeah.
I think part of that is they're continuing to be covered, and unlike in Detroit last week, where Mahomes picks up the 4th and long and to keep that drive alive, all the backs are turned to him, which allowed him to pick up that 4th and long. He was hobbling tonight.
Yeah,
he didn't have the ability to take off and run.
That's true.
On the 3rd and 28 to Pringle, the whole left side of the field was open for Mahomes, but he made sure to look for Pringle. It turns out to be a good play. I mean, Pringle almost picks up the first down, but the whole Colts side of the field was open for Mahomes, and he chose to throw it instead of run. So I do think that both, the fact that you had, Pringle, Hardman as wide receivers, inexperienced guys in there
factors
tonight,
in.
and Mahomes being a little hobbly had something to do with, their offensive production in the second half.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
To me, you've got two ways to beat the defense that they saw the last 2 weeks, and they're going to continue to see, which is one, against man-to-man, your man is just better than the other guy's man. But the other way is you protect. If you protect Mahomes because they're only rushing 3 or 4 guys every time, they're going to have to bring more pressure, and suddenly that defense isn't nearly as effective. They didn't do either one of those things tonight.
And was it Robert that you just mentioned? That's a point that we talked about last week in Detroit, too. Those receivers have to extend and give Pat.
Yeah, and it's something they have done.
In the past,
In the past. they
Before
absolutely
last
have.
week.
Yes.
That's what stuck out so much about last week. And I thought they did it again tonight. I think Pringle was extending pretty well, and Kelsey always does.
Yeah.
But it just, everybody needs to be doing that. McCall Hardman, if he does that, when he learns how to do that, he's going to be incredibly dangerous.
Right.
I think with Mahomes, wide receivers have to remember, run your routes like it's a backyard football game.
Yeah.
You run your assigned route, but after that, all bets are off.
Yep.
You start turn around, make eye contact with your quarterback, and take off.
Yeah. Because he's still developing it, obviously, with Hardman. But, DeMarcus Robinson, Kelsey, especially Tyreek when he gets back, he has that sort of chemistry with those guys. I think they can figure that out.
Paul Eccles wants to know if the failure to stop the run is more of a scheme problem or poor execution. What did the players say? You talked to a lot of defensive guys after the game just about their lack of ability in stopping the run.
A lot of them are saying it's more execution. They practice stopping the run. They preach stopping the run. I don't necessarily believe it's a scheme thing. It's a matter of executing. And injuries certainly didn't help them tonight. You lose Chris Jones. You lose Xavier Williams.
Right.
You lose Anthony Hitchens. So there's 3 defensive players down there. You're already down Alex Okafor. And so when you're hurting like that and then all of a sudden you get your backups in, it's execution. A lot of it's execution.
Tyrann Mathieu had a pretty interesting quote after the game, though, about the fact that it's about your willingness to put your head in there and tackle. And
execution.
you wonder what he's referring to.
Well, look, he had a good game. It's
I thought
maybe
he
the
had
first time we
his best
said
game,
that.
yeah.
With the interception, his first as a Chief, and he had the tackle for loss that
That
held.
finally made the Colts pass the ball, and the first time on that drive in 10 plays.
Yeah. Yep.
Going back to the execution part, though, and I think it's a legit concern. Some of the Chiefs players I spoke to say that this might be the blueprint, and because it's existing now. Once is a fluke, twice or more is a habit. The Chiefs have a habit of not being able to stop the run. Next week you got a Houston team that has Deshaun Watson and Carlos Hyde. Here we go with the revenge factor. You know, hey, Chiefs gave up on me. I'm going to show them what they're missing out on, kind of like what Justin Houston did tonight. So, you know, you got to hunker down here this coming week here and the rest of the year because other teams are watching.
Well, I do. Tonight does kind of change a little bit about maybe how we look at the rest of the season. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a couple more details about tonight's game, though. 11 penalties for 125 yards. 11 penalties for 120, including a nice little 53-yard penalty.
Just accepted penalties.
Right. The Colts came into the game one of the least penalized teams in the NFL. They had more than they wanted, but it was still like half of what the Chiefs ended up with. And as well as Tyrann Mathieu probably played, you know, at least statistically played well, Rashard Breeland, not so much tonight. We've been singing his praises all season, haven't we?
Yeah.
4 penalties.
That was a nightmare.
I know at least once missed a tackle.
Yeah.
And, gosh, just a bad night for him.
Yeah, I think Herbie talked to him.
Yeah, I asked him about those penalties, and I said, have you ever had anything like this happen to you before? And his exact quote was, hell no. It's never happened to him. This is a career first, but he believes that they are correctable. Once he looks back on the film, they're going to be correctable. I don't think you're going to see another 4-penalty game from him.
It's not just, and look, like, it's kind of a dumb thing to say, like, untimely penalties, right? Like, when are penalties timely? But you mentioned the 53-yarder,
Yeah.
and then there was another one.
Those
on
killers. Those are such killers.
Yeah.
Such killers. The Chiefs almost had one tonight, right? At the end, except it was offset by the Ryan Hunter penalty.
But there was also the play where for about 90 seconds, Patrick Mahomes had his first interception of the season.
Yeah, right.
Right, and then that play was ended with Cam Irving and I think Wiley was in on it. I think like an unnecessary roughness penalty where that's dumb. You know, just it's kind of a selfish play. But then if you don't have that penalty, once the interception gets overturned, it's 4th and 2. The Chiefs probably go for it.
On the 30, from the 37.
But now it's 4th and 17. You can't go for that. You got to punt. And it's just little stuff like that. Damian Williams, it's not a penalty, but Damian Williams dropped that. Would have been a nice catch, but hit his hands on the first drive in the back of the end zone. There's a lot of like sloppy little stuff like that went on tonight.
And as you talk about this, I always think about things that I wanted to say earlier in the show, but that first possession that ended up in a field goal for the Chiefs, they had the ball at the 9, and 2 penalties took them out of the red zone. Had to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
You know, not only did Williams drop the ball, that didn't drop it, but kind of went off his fingertips. You said if he had laid out, he would have caught that, and I agree with you. But anyway, he didn't catch it. And then I forget what the penalties were, but I think they were both offensive lineman penalties, a holding and a
false start, wasn't it?
Maybe a false start.
Yeah.
Put him back to the 24, and they had to kick. So the other thing that I thought about was, so the Chiefs get 10 points in their first 2 possessions. And you think, okay, it's going to be, Chiefs night, right? The next possessions after that, after the field goal touchdown, they go punt, fumble, punt, 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 downs. I can imagine Patrick Mahomes' offense has never had a stretch like that.
6. Right?
6.
Yep.
Yep. And that not including the end of half where they just took the knee. 6 straight empty possessions. Not a missed field goal in there, not a just punts and a fumble. And that's illustrative of all the issues that they were having on the offensive side tonight. So somebody I'm sorry, I didn't somebody wanted to know who played worse, defensive line or offensive line?
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't it crazy this was the Colts' issue for the whole Peyton Manning era and most of the Andrew Luck era. In fact, when Andrew Luck retired, a lot of people said, well, if you had ever improved the offensive line, then maybe Andrew Luck wouldn't be retiring now. And now the Colts' offensive line came in here and just absolutely dominated the football game.
They did, pushed the Chiefs all around. Jordan Tribe wants to know if anyone asked about the Kelsey-Bieniemy encounter. I don't think so.
Two people who did not talk after the game.
Right.
Well, and Bieniemy never. Assistant coaches don't talk after the game, Jordan. We'll talk to Bieniemy on Wednesday about that. But Kelsey was in the locker room after the game, sitting in front of his locker, basically with a towel on, and never turned around. Just sat there, bumming the whole time. I know some teammates went over to console him a few times, but he was inconsolable. He just didn't want to talk to anybody today.
He had a tough night. I mean, even though they overturned that. So, I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're glad they're not fumbles. Both of those were catchable balls. Now, the one he turns around super late, and we thought it was an amazing catch when it looked like a catch initially. But the second one he absolutely has to come up with. And looking at the sheet after the game, he leads the team in targets with 10, only 4 catches on those 10 targets. That's extremely unlike his ratio.
That's a very. We were singing his praises last week in Detroit. He was one of the reliable guys. I think it was 7 catches and 8 targets, and not this week. So I don't know. All right. Well, let's talk about how it might alter the way we look at this team the rest of the way. And you're a double-digit favorite. And you're playing at home.
At home, prime time.
Yeah, prime time.
Yeah.
You don't lose.
That's sort of a question too. I mean, you had that stat before. There's 2-5 in night games now. Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is 2-5 in primetime games.
Right?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
This was his first one this year, and
How many games total has he lost a day game?
no, he hasn't. He hasn't
Yeah.
lost at a kickoff that has in Central Time, noon or 3.
Yeah.
But he has lost games that start at 7 or later.
2-5.
That's wild.
I mean, it's
I mean, I assume that doesn't mean anything,
exactly.
right?
But you're like, man,
that's really weird.
Yeah, the numbers are there to make an argument if you wanted to.
Right.
But to me, the biggest story now is they're 1 game behind the Patriots, and that's the race that Sam pointed out this week. Is that everyone, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, has to be following, and they're 1 game behind the Patriots now with a harder schedule than what the Patriots have, and they have to go to New England.
Yeah, as long as you're within a game, you can make
win
up
that
for
game.
it because that's worth a game and a half,
Yeah.
right? Because you get the tiebreaker. But they this is a problem that we've known that we've talked about it every week, that the run defense is a potential fatal flaw. Now we're seeing one on the other side too, with this, this idea of like man coverage and dressing it up a little bit. Sometimes you drop in safety, sometimes it's linebackers or whatever. The Patriots, and look, they gave up 62 points in 2 second halves last year, but like a total of like 3 or 10 or something like that in the first halves, using sort of that same method. Their doubles went to Tyreek Hill. Don't have to worry about that now. That makes the job easier. That's one thing I want to see, right? Like, it's one thing to do this now. I want to see when the fastest guy in the NFL, who has a great rapport with the quarterback, who is better at extending plays than virtually any other receiver, does that still work in that situation? But, we talk about like blueprints, like you just mentioned. I mean, there's at least the sketch of one on both sides of the ball here.
Why wouldn't you play that defense against them now?
You have to,
Yeah. And to me, if I'm a Chiefs fan, that's what worries me a little bit is the Chiefs had to know this was coming this week, and they still put up 13 because of what they did against Detroit last week. They had to know the Colts were going to do that again. The Colts played a similar defense in the playoffs last year too. So we all talked about it on Thursday at the Facebook Live. Those of us that came to Thursday's Facebook Live.
Wow.
But we all knew that. I saw you there. I saw half you guys.
My household goods were delivered. Okay, I'm getting settled in. Wow.
Well, we all knew it was
went
coming.
there.
They put up 13 points.
I love you too, partner. Wow.
Well, they're 1 game behind the Patriots, and they're only 1 game ahead of the Raiders. How about that? They do have the tiebreaker over the Raiders, but what a crazy win for
Raiders
them.
beat this team.
Yes.
In Indianapolis.
Last week, the Raiders beat this team. So, anyway,
Are you ready to say the Raiders are going to challenge?
I don't know.
Don't go there.
Well, I don't know what to say about this team now because I thought, Herbie, the last team that you covered before you went to New Orleans was the 2015 Chiefs. And they had that bad start. Remember, they won their opening game out of Houston, and then they lost 5 in a row, and they got it fixed. The schedule got easier. They got it fixed and won 10 straight. But that 5-game stretch was like, they were just terrible. And then 2 years ago, they went through that mid-season just horrible slump where I keep bringing it up. They lost to the Jets, the Giants, the Bills. They were just terrible. I thought Patrick Mahomes would make them immune to those types of stretches. Well, we're going to see that now because the Mahomes team has never lost a game the way they lost tonight. Didn't score, didn't play well.
Is it the worst team he's ever lost to as well? Probably so.
Well, every team he lost to last year made the playoffs, right? Chargers, Seahawks, Patriots, and then Rams. They all made the playoffs.
Yeah. 3 of those 5 losses were to Super Bowl teams.
Right,
That's pretty solid.
Right. We'll see. This was, to me, that's what's troubling about this, is they lost at home to a team that I just thought talent-wise, I don't care who was healthy and who wasn't, talent-wise. Hey, we got the Colts injury report this week. It looked like a, it looked like a telephone book. It was just that.
Yeah,
it was
a
just
lot of people on
names
there.
on that thing.
And Andy Reid said something interesting about that too. About I forgot what the question was, but basically like, could you not establish the run, something like that? And he basically said like they didn't have their safeties. We thought we could kill them.
Right.
I mean, he didn't say it like that, but that's basically
Take advantage.
we thought we could take advantage of
Yeah.
them, with that, and then not at all.
Did you guys notice Tyreek Hill in warm-ups today?
He was on the sidelines.
He was on the sidelines during the game, but he was running routes, with his T-shirt on. Right, everybody else is in uniform. He's in his T-shirt. I wonder if he'll be back next week.
I do too. Yes, that was my first thought. My second thought was, I wonder if they don't think the way that we do, right? Like, which is a good thing. But I'd rather wait a week too long than to put him back, a little too early. I just wonder if it's got to protect that guy.
It's so funny how the
need
narrative on him has changed, because the first, week 2 and 3, you were like, is Tyreek maybe not as valuable
Trade him for a corner.
as what you thought?
That's after Watkins had that big game, and then Robinson had the big game, and then Hardman had the big game.
Interchangeable parts, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, man, they need Tyreek Hill back.
Jamison Hills, you're absolutely right. Protect the quarterback. Always protect the quarterback.
Jamison Hill's a smart guy.
Smart dude. All right,
I just like the way he started that with "You're always right."
All right, we're going to end it on that. It's late. Everybody's got work or school tomorrow. We do too at work. So thanks for joining us. Thanks to Big O Tires for sponsoring us. Thanks to Sam, Herbie, and Sam. And make sure to read all the coverage in the Kansas City Star and on kansascity.com, especially Vahe's column, because he's still writing it. So it's going to be good, good and long. And Beth, thank you very much for producing this deal. And we will talk to you again Thursday from Big O Tires, I believe, in Kansas City. We'll talk to you then. Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners. Unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.